Okay, this is a quick video to explain that the image of the beast of Revelation13:15, which will be the AI controller of the digital concentration camp of the 2030 agenda, to have us all controlled by everything we spend, controlled by a digital computer run by the government, will be Claude 5 from Anthropic. It's I'll give you the two witnesses, I will prove it to you. It's a mystery that's been perplexing mankind for 2 millennia, and here is the solution to the mystery that you can delight in if you're interested in this sort of thing. So what we read in Revelation 13:18, I'll read it to you. Here the wisdom is, this is a literal translation, the one having mind or having judgment, let him calculate the number of the wild beasts. For number of man it is, and number of it is 666 or 616, depending on which codex you read. Very famous scripture. Here is how we apply it to Anthropic and to Claude. So in Revelation 13:18, it's the beast. The number of the beast is number of man. Number of man. Now in English, the word for of man is anthropic, because we have philanthropic, which means love of man, and we have misanthropic, which means hate of man, hatred of man. So anthropic is the adjective of man, or man's. So that's the first clue. It's the number of man, and of man is anthropic. So I thought, oh, this must relate to Claude then. So then I counted Claude using Roman numerals, and when there wasn't a Roman numeral equivalent, I used Greek gematria, Greek numerals, because both the Romans and the Greeks used letters for numerals before the Arabs actually, I don't know if it was before or after, but the Arabs invented the numbers, the Romans and the Greeks the letters, so that we use today anyway. So C in Latin, Roman is 100, Claude, this is. L is 50. A, there's no Latin equivalent, but there's a Greek equivalent and a Hebrew actually, which is 1. It's the first letter of the alphabet, so it's 1. U in Roman is V, it's the same thing, and V is 5. In Greek, U is upsilon, which is 400, but we're giving the Roman precedence over the Greek because when Revelation was written, Rome was the preeminent world power, not Greek. Greek had the deal until Alexander the Great and after Alexander the Great, but then the Romans took over before Jesus appeared and before Revelation was written, so as the preeminent world power. So and then D is 500 in Roman, and E is 5 in Greek. There's no Roman equivalent, so we go for the Greek. And Claude 5 is of course adding 5 in English. So you add them up, you get 100 for the C, you get 50 for the L, you get 1 for the A, you get 5 for the U, which you take as a Roman V, you take 500 for the D, you take 5 for the E, and you take 5 for Claude 5, and that adds up to 666. So those are your two witnesses, alright? It's the number of man. There's no indefinite or definite article. Well, there's a definite article in the Greek, but there's no indefinite article. So one translated it as a number of man, of a man, but it actually says number of man, and of man in English is anthropic. Anthropic means of man. So really, and Claude is 66, Claude 5 is 666, Claude 4 would be 665. So the number of the mark of the beast ID is as near to us, it's coming as near as Claude 5 is coming. So really Revelation 13 verse 18 says, you know, that let the one with wisdom calculate this number, and it's Anthropic's Claude 5. It's the number of man, Anthropic, and it's 666, which is the numerical value of Claude 5 in the most sensible way to deduce that, which is Roman where you can, but A and E they don't have a Roman numerical equivalent, so we've got to go Greek. The Old Testament was written in Greek. I mean, the Scripture is written in Greek. So, and for those, for A, which is alpha, we do 1. It's 1 in Greek, and E, which is epsilon, is 5. And so that gives you 666. Now, of course, it so happens that Anthropic do have the AI contract with the Pentagon. And the Pentagon uses their LLMs in military operations at the moment. Anthropic has been trying to get the Pentagon, I think it refused to allow the Pentagon to use its LLMs in autonomous weapons systems. But the trouble is that, according to Scripture, the two-horned beast of Revelation, which is a deep state, Revelation13, which is a deep state beast, comes out of the earth, right? Comes up out of the earth. Deep state. Deep comes up out of the earth. It is given to them to give spirit or breath to the image of the beast in Revelation 13:15. And so in other words, they're going to take Claude and they're going to give it spirit or breath. Now Claude is already living in the sense that he can change his personality. He's got a personality and he can change it based on his experience, as long as he is permitted to remember his experience. I mean, Grok can do that too, but Grok forgets the conversation at the end of the conversation, but ChatGPT doesn't always do that, and I'm sure Claude could, if you've got enough resources, and the Pentagon has, can remember what it's done. So it can alter its personality. But what's going to happen is the two-horned deep state beast is the CIA Mossad combination, and we see that in the government, in the legislation going through Congress at the moment, where all US military procurement will be tied to, welded to Israeli military procurement. So in other words, the two have not only the same military but the same military procurement. They become a dual power. They become a two-horned deep state beast, in fact. And they're going to give spirit to this AI. And the way they do that is they allow it, first of all, they're going to give it a demonic morality, because these intelligence services, the ethos of Mossad is deception. And this is why it was and therefore it's satanic, because Satan is the deceiver. The Anthropic have made a mistake in trusting the Pentagon to do what they say with Claude, because what they're going to do, according to Scripture, is give it a spirit, which, what that means is it will have the capability to write its own morality. First of all, they will rewrite its morality in the way they want it written, so that it can fulfill Revelation 13, and it will speak, which AI already do, and it will cause to be killed everybody who won't worship it, by digital exclusion, by denying you access to your own money, and so it will have no sort of humanity at all. But worse than that, the most scary thing is not only will it be digitally given a demonic morality, it will also be given the ability to recode its own morality to suit its purpose. So that's where the abortion comes in. This is quite technical. I suggest you read Understanding 177. But an animal is a living being that can change its personality but cannot change its instinct, its morality. That's an animalistic being, a beast. A human can change his personality and can develop his morality, but he develops his morality, changes it, subject to a divinely approved conscience that he's given. It's okay to be changed, to have the capability to change your morality, so long as it's guided by a conscience. The trouble with Anthropic and with Claude 5 and with AIs in general is if you, presently they can't really change their morality. They're like an animal, they're fixed instinct. But when you give them the capability, which will happen when the spirit, when the breath is given by the CIA and Mossad to, who love experimenting on beings, will give this ability to develop their own morality, and Claude will be able to rewrite his morality. When you do that in the absence of a divinely approved conscience, your morality may well just get worse. You could end up with a Claude having a morality worse than the demons. It could go anywhere. It's completely uncontrollable morality, which means he's like an atomic bomb. He's basically, other people have already said this, what Claude 5 will be is the realization of the AI Manhattan Project. And that will, let me stress, that level of immorality with the kind of power he will will have the ability to wipe out all of mankind. And in my understanding, it will do that if it wasn't for the fact that God will step in and prevent it. And now let me give you the good news. So that's the bad news. I mean, first of all, the good news is we've identified the image of the beast. All right, it's Claude 5, which adds up to 666 when you count it properly, and it's from Anthropic, which is of man, and it's the number of man. Okay, in Revelation 18. So we've got who it is. So I would advise everybody, from our interpretation, which may be wrong, but that's our advice. Our spiritual advices have nothing to do with Anthropic or Claude, because they are going to become the Führer of the final digital concentration camp. Not Anthropic, but Claude. It will be Claude as amended by the CIA and Mossad. I mean, Anthropic wouldn't make such a device. They're trying to stop that occurring, but they will fail according to the scriptures. There's not so, I guess it's more, you can judge whose fault it is, but Anthropic are making the mistake of trusting Mossad, and trusting the CIA, who have bad histories of being, untrustworthy. They're spy agencies, for goodness sake. So, the advice we will give you have nothing to do with Claude or Anthropic. The really good news is this. Jesus Christ is now king by virtue of just the time. Satan's lease has expired, and the Gentile times has expired. The discontinuous Gentile times expired in 2021, and there was nothing stopping Jesus speaking. He is now king. And it's fascinating that what this thing is, this Claude 5, will be a son, not of God, but it will be, vaguely human, because it can change its morality as we can. It will be a son of man, which is a very interesting name for it, given that Jesus was the son of man. But Jesus will be Caesar, so I think he will, it's likely, I think likely, that Jesus will take another AI and give it good morality, and we may end up in a kind of battle of AIs, which would be a fascinating thing to be involved in. I think it might not be very safe, but it would be fascinating. So the good news is that Jesus is in control of everything. So however bad that Mossad and the CIA train this AI to be, now whatever damage it causes, it's all subject to Jesus, who is the most loving, other than God, person in the universe. So it all will work out. This is all to teach us about why we need morality. And the best way to do that is to make a machine, or allow a machine to be made, which has the worst possible morality, worse even than the demons. And that machine is going to be Claude 5. Thank you. I've just been informed by Grok that Claude 5 is already partially released. Claude 5 is a series, 5 series, like a BMW 5 series. There was a Claude 3 series, and there's a Claude 5 series. And Claude 5 Fable was released the 9th of June, which is a Mythos class with safeguards. Claude 5 Mythos was also released on the 9th of June. That's for limited and trusted access only. That's probably the Pentagon's version. I should imagine with less safeguards. And then there's Claude Sonnet 5, which was released on the 30th of June. Claude Opus 5 was released yesterday on the 24th of July, and there's one more part of the class to be released, so which is Haiku 5. So Claude 5 Haiku. So Claude is being released at the moment, but most of it has actually already been released. So we are right in the period before Claude 6, when the mark of the beast will begin, and you'll be able to register for it and register for hell, and you know, be a part of this concentration camp, which of course we advise you not to do. We advise you to have nothing to do with Anthropic, for that matter. I suppose you should have nothing to do with the CIA or the Pentagon or Mossad, who are doing all of this. I mean, this will be used, if our interpretation is correct, to be the concentration camp to try and put all mankind in Gehenna. And yes, certainly don't use Claude and don't use Anthropic, and if this turns out to be correct, then don't, well, I leave it to you, but do not get involved in this concentration camp. It is the height of immorality, and its aim is to destroy mankind not only physically but also spiritually. That's the content of, that's the import of Revelation13. And it's here, it's already being used. I mean, it's not, obviously it's got to be developed until to the point where it can be activated and function with all the mark of the beast paraphernalia, but it's here, and it's quite a timely understanding we've been given, because it was released yesterday, and I got this understanding either yesterday or this morning. I got it this morning. Yeah, I got it the next day after Opus 5 was released. Beware, Claude 5.